I've been meaning to make this video for some time now. Since my last Attack on Titan video did so well for some reason, I was planning on making a follow-up video on the last hour special that they have to end off the series. The reason this video is extremely late is because after I got done watching the hour special, the finale of Attack on Titan, I just kind of sat there in awe of the peak fiction that I just witnessed. And honestly, I felt like there wasn't much that I could add. Really, the only thing I could think about to talk about would be just me sitting there in awe of how peak fiction the thing is, and just it would be like a full 15 to 20 minutes of me just glazing the show. And while this video will have a lot of that, there are just some perspective viewpoints that I have on this video that aren't just me blatantly just saying so good. I have other things I want to talk about is my point, because throughout the months I've been diving deeper into anime YouTube, and a lot of people have a lot of different perspectives or different ways of viewing the ending than I did. So I thought that I'd give my thoughts on what other people thought and just go point by point and give my thoughts on what I saw. Because I'm not gonna lie, people talking shit on like one of my favorite shows ever kind of feels bad. And yes, I know I've done that before, but when I do it, it's different because reasons. Anyway, the way I structured my last video was I went through the episode point by point in order that they happen in the episode. So basically any point in the episode that I found interesting, I'm going to make it a point to talk about it in this video periodically as they happen, as well as giving my additional comment on what other people may have thought about this and how it differs from my point of view as to what I just watched. So now that the ground rules are set,
Round 1, fight!
So first up on the chopping block is Peck. And if you're forgetting who on God's green earth that is, I do not blame you. Peck is the cart titan, and up until this episode, I don't think I've ever felt more meh about a character in my life. And she went from me not caring at all about her to me thinking she's a complete dumbass. I know this isn't like a point of interest in the episode for most people or for anybody. Like, it really doesn't matter what I'm gonna talk about here, but it was so stupid that I feel like I have to bring it up. So in the very beginning of the episode, Team Armin, which is what I'm gonna call them going forward, started losing immediately. So Peck decided that it would be a good idea that her, as one of the weaker of the 9 titans, being the cart titan with no extra armor or tools, because if the cart titan gets tools, it's kind of very useful, but if it's just bare bones, it has nothing, it is probably the weaker of the 9. But this genius decided everyone else is losing, I guess I'm just gonna go try to unalive Eren by myself.
For what?
Nice.
What is she gonna do?
Right? We're completely surrounded by people that outgun us, like, completely. Let me go off by myself.
Massive.
And shocker, it doesn't work. She gets skewered immediately. It was so mind-bogglingly dumb. There's no way I could have passed up talking about that, even if it's just for a second. That scene made me laugh so hard. So my next point really isn't a point of the episode, but I did want to talk about it, and I guess now is as good a time as ever. The animation team just did amazing. Like, this episode is animated beautifully. They probably didn't see sunlight for a year straight making this episode look as good as they did. And like I said before, I intended on making this video a lot earlier, so I did record my initial reactions to watching the episode with my friend AJ that we watched it together. And here's our first initial unfiltered reactions to how good the animation was.
Damn, you know what? Like 2 people died just to make that scene.
Yeah.
That's like
They're
fucking 3 nights
malnourished
work
now.
right there.
So this is where I'm going to get to the real juicy stuff, meaning my god-awful takes that people are probably going to hate me for. There are a lot of people online that are of the opinion that there were other solutions to the conflict in Attack on Titan that do not include genocide. Now, okay, I know this is going to sound insane. Please let me elaborate. But I don't think I agree with that statement. Now, listen, I'm not saying that the rumbling was the only choice. But what I am saying is that as much as I hate Zeke, I think I'm with him where even up to the end, he said that the euthanization plan was the play. And even though it results in a lot fewer death people, euthanization is still, in a way, genocide. Why bring all this up now? While we watch Team Armin fight the rumbling, we occasionally cut back to the people on the ground, the people that are just watching them fight, like the commander guy. I completely forgot his name. I'm just gonna call him Commander from now on. And it completely boggled my mind that somehow they were still being racist. How? Listen, I understand that achieving absolute peace through violence is damn near impossible. After the rumbling, people would undoubtedly hold resentment towards Eldians, and peace would be completely short-lived. But when there's something actively threatening your life, and the life of everyone around you, how on God's green earth do you still find the time, hell, not even the time, the will to be racist? Even when the commander guy, the episode before this, towards the end of the episode, he was like acknowledging like, hey man, maybe racism bad. But then he just went back to being racist while the rumbling was still in front of him. The threat of actively dying was still there.
Oh my god, the guy that had the
Don't that
eureka
make
moment
sense?
of let's not be racist. Kills himself.
Uh-oh. I think he's still racist.
Now, the way the people on the ground were still being prejudiced just proves to me that there were no diplomatic solutions. Straight up, not possible. If you're staring genocide in the face and still decide to be prejudiced, I don't think there's enough talking in the world that would convince you otherwise. It's either A, it straight up just would not work, or B, it would take centuries to come to a diplomatic solution, by which time the Eldians could just have been wiped out regardless. So I feel like I just simply can't agree when people say it's like, you could have just threatened them with the power of the Founding Titan. They've been threatened with the power of the Founding Titan the entire time. They think that Eldians have complete control of it. They don't care. They're staring genocide in the face, and they're still being prejudiced. What more? These people, you can't talk to these people. It's very abundantly clear. Now that I've got one of my rants over, I think I still have like 2 more solid rants in me in this video. But let's get to something we can all agree on. Zeke's death was so satisfying. Came out of left field too. One minute we're like watching him talk about how beautiful the day is. The next, his head is gone. It's off of his body.
まあいっぱい殺しておいて虫が良すぎるよな
Yep.
Easy, let's go!
Yeah.
I also love how before Levi finishes the job, Levi reflects on how Erwin's final mission has proved to be so difficult for him, especially when all the other things he's asked him to do were so easy for him. And he questions himself if this is what his comrades would have wanted. By this, he means the rumbling, when they said that they wanted a world without the Titans. But then he comes to the conclusion that the whole point was to have prosperity for humanity. That's what they gave their hearts for. And it kind of steals his resolve in a way. And it's nice to see that even though Eldian soldiers were unknowingly cast into hell, Levi still believes that their goal would still remain the same, and they would put humanity above all else, which is super, super cool. Next, I have a sentence that I know at least my friend who watched the episode with me hated when I said this. Here, I'll just let past me say it. You know what this means, right?
What?
Attack on Titan is one big romance anime. Okay, listen. This is where I go into my personal interpretation of the story, and keep in mind, it could be very different than yours, or just straight up wrong because I missed something, or maybe I'm just delusional. It could be either or. With my disclaimer out of the way I see it, Ymir saw Mikasa as basically an extension of herself throughout the entire series because they both fell deeply in love with tyrants who needed to be killed. Anywho, Ymir made her choice to follow Fritz until the ends of the earth because I'm assuming that the thought of killing him and loving him could not coexist in her head. This led her to having the biggest case of Stockholm Syndrome known to man and followed his will for the next 2,000 years without ever knowing what to do when you love somebody but can't let them go. And I'm putting that in like, that's the simplest way I can interpret the whole thing. Then comes Mikasa, who presumably throughout the power of the founding titan, Ymir saw that she had a very similar love for Eren. So Ymir's goal shifted from serving Fritz's will to seeing out how Mikasa responds or reacts to the love she has for Eren, this genocidal maniac. In a way, she wanted to see how someone else might free themselves from the hell of having this deep affection for someone else that shouldn't have your affection. In other words, the reason the show kept going and Ymir kept going is to see how Mikasa would respond to Eren being Eren while she also has these deep feelings for him. And Eren said it himself when he was talking to Armin. I'll just let the clip roll.
2000年間ずっと苦しみから解放してくれる誰かを求め続け、ついに現れた。それがミカサだ。ミカサって言った？言ったよ。
Meaning, one of the biggest main standpoints in Attack on Titan is the romance between Eren and Mikasa. And I don't think you understand how hilarious it is that when someone asks for a good romance anime recommendation, technically, I can say Attack on Titan. From here, I'm either going to defend scenes that people hated or bring up scenes that people didn't really talk about that much, or at least I didn't see them talk about that much. First up being the mind-boggling twist of Eren admitting to killing his own mother in order to secure the future for the Rumbling. Okay, listen. I'm one of these people that generally, if I'm watching something with a friend, I will have grandiose reactions because I use a lot of hyperbole. Like, I'll say a lot of words like, that was the best thing ever, or this show is the best thing ever. If you watch like 5 seconds of my YouTube channel, you can tell that's the case. But I was silent during this scene. I was speechless. I think the scene does two very good things. One, it shows us how truly sadistic Eren is. And two, it shows us how he is a slave to freedom, as he says so himself, showing that this invisible concept of freedom to him is just straight up more important than the lives of people around him, which is the thing he's kind of fighting against. He wants freedom for his and his loved ones, but he's willing to sacrifice his loved ones in order to gain freedom, which is crazy and shows us the slave to freedom part that both Eren and Armin say that Eren has. One of my last points I'll make about the ending of Attack on Titan is the pathetic Eren scene, where you know what? No. I'll just let him speak for himself.
そんなのやだ。ミカサに男ができるなんて。一生俺だけを思っててほしい。俺が死んだ後もしばらく10年以上は引きずっててほしい。そこまでかっこ悪いことを言うと。
People have a problem with this scene for multiple reasons. Some reasons less reasonable than others, so I'll start with the lesser reasonable ones first. I'm gonna start with the that isn't my Eren camp of people, because I think that this is just wrong. These people usually believe that Eren is this super buffed up alpha male and that he would never be that pathetic because he's so calculated and just this dominant figure, dominant male figure. And to that I say, no. I like Eren too. I have an entire video where I semi-defend him. But at some point, you have to see how the guy's willing to commit genocide and throw some of his friends into the jaws of death just to accomplish some vague virtue that he has. Well, that guy wouldn't be considered a Sigma alpha male. That guy would be considered a selfish psychopath. And this scene perfectly represents how a selfish psychopath would want to be loved. Then we have people on the somewhat opposite camp where they believe that this scene shouldn't have happened and he shouldn't have gotten the right to talk to Armin in the first place, aka the evil bastard should just die camp. But I feel like not including this scene takes away a lot from the story, because the dichotomy of the scene with Mikasa and Eren, where he was trying to be strong for her and telling her to move on, between the Armin scene where he was being much more honest and revealing of who he really is behind the whole facade or bravado he puts up trying to be this freedom fighter that he wants to be. It's really beautiful in a way and gives us an insight on Eren's actual character that we haven't gotten since like the end of season 3. If you really think about it, since the start of season 4, we've just been with this single-minded maniac that is going for this one goal. We haven't really seen Eren like we knew him since season 1 to 3, and I think in these last few moments of the finale, we got Eren. Plus, we wouldn't have gotten the "I'll see you in hell" line from Armin at the end there if this scene wasn't there, and that was fucking peak. Alright, so that's pretty much where I'm gonna leave things off. There are a few more things I left out of this video, like how some people thought Levi should have died, which I don't think is true. I think him surviving was great, especially in that end scene where he did the "we'll give our hearts to his fallen comrades." It was a beautiful scene. And my thoughts on Reiner surviving to the end, which was insane to me. Reiner came around, but I really thought he was going to die. But I feel like my takes on both those subjects aren't too interesting, because it's just Levi's fine where he is and Reiner should have died. Like, they aren't too crazy of hot takes, so I'll just close it out here. I was never an OG fan of Attack on Titan. I got into the series probably like 2-3 years ago. But man, what a ride. I can confidently say that this is one of the best pieces of fiction I've ever experienced. It genuinely made me look at fiction differently. It made me think that, wow, like things can be this good. It kind of sucks that some people didn't like it. I feel bad because I enjoyed it so much. I just want to thank Hijiyama Asame for, it's gonna sound super corny, but giving his heart. And yeah, that's it. I hope you had a good morning, and subscribe.
Dude, I don't know, I don't think it was right when he died, but as soon as I saw them as kids, holy shit.